Are you a new player to Path of Exile and you're looking for some general tips and guidance on how to navigate the basics of the game? Well, this video is for you. We are going to go over the general tips and navigational tools that will hopefully help you along this beautiful journey on Path of Exile. Let's get to it. So congratulations, you decided to play Path of Exile. I have to say a lot of players don't play the game because of all the negative things they've heard. The long learning curve, the steep learning curve. It's not new player friendly, but I have to say I played in the Crucible League last season and it was the best decision I made. I too listened to those negative comments and it stopped me from playing POE for many years. And then, like I said, when Crucible League was launched this year, I decided to, what the heck, let me dive in, and I haven't turned back since. So congratulations on making the decision to play Path of Exile. Okay, so before I get into everything, I just, there's a million videos out there already about all this stuff, but really the purpose of this video is I have recently experienced being a very brand spanking new player to Path of Exile. So I wanted to create a video journal for that player base, because I know there's a lot of players right now that are coming into Path of Exile, and I wanted to create a video series for them and to share what I went through. And I'm going to keep it at a very basic level because, again, the purpose of my video series will be to keep it very, down to earth and very relatable and very simple to understand. So hopefully I can achieve that. Okay, so you decided to play Path of Exile. Congratulations. You've downloaded the game. And now what? So basically, the first decision you're going to make is, what league am I going to play in? What form, right? So every 3 months, Path of Exile has a league. And it's basically enhanced mechanics and changes to the basic game that they adopt every 3 months. So when you come and play Path of Exile for the first time, you'll have to make a decision whether or not to play in that current league. My suggestion to you is find out when the league started. Typically, it lasts 3 months. If you're coming in and playing Path of Exile for the first time and it's in the middle or the latter half of the league, I would suggest you start off on the standard league. Now, if it's at the beginning of the league, then my recommendation, and this is what I did, is obviously experience the league format. So anyway, regardless, you have basically 3 choices. There's the standard league, which is basically what it means. It's the standard league. And within each mode, there are other categories that you can pick. So the standard league is basically the basic game. And then in the middle will be the current league that's running. Now, the Ancestor League just launched. So this is days old. So for example, if today you were starting Path of Exile, in my opinion, I would suggest you start on the Ancestor League. Or you can do Hardcore Ancestor. Okay, so there's 3 modes that you can select. Now, Hardcore, obviously, the meaning of Hardcore, you have 1 life. And as soon as you die, everything you have with your character gets moved over to the standard league. Okay, and that principle applies also to every league that gets launched every 3 months. So for example, right now, if you start off on the Ancestor League, when this league ends in 3 months, all your stuff, gear, character will be moved over to the standard league. Okay, and the only other thing that I want to mention is that there's a solo self-found mode, which basically what that means, it restricts trading. Path of Exile has a third-party website that you can trade gear, items, etc. And we'll get into that much later. But all that you need to know for now is if you select solo self-found, you will not be able to trade or buy anything. Anything that you gear, weapons, materials will have to be either found by yourself or crafted by you. Okay, so once you select a league, you will now have to choose a character. There are 7 characters, classes in Path of Exile, and I am not going to go into each one. However, here's a quick reference guide on what each class basically strengths are as far as the attributes. So basically, you're going to select a character next. Now, there's 2 paths here. There's the blind path, where you can select a character, basically what kind of playstyle you like, whether it's melee class, spell-based classes, and go down the blind path and experience the game for the very first time, and you will create your character in a blind fashion. Or you can go and follow a guide. The choice is yours. I am not going to make push you in either direction, because really that's a personal choice, and who am I to tell you which direction to take? Some people do not like to follow guides because they want to experience the game in its true form and learn, and they learn that way. And others don't want to fumble around and maximize their time, so they'll follow a guide. The choice is yours. All right, so you've created a character, you played, and you've gotten into town, and you're like, what is all this stuff? So first off, when you have time and you're in town at the very beginning of the game, I want to go over a couple of the user interfaces that we're going to be populating your screen. And although there are other things to cover, we're going to take this, what I personally think are in a chronological order, kind of things you need to discover in order to enhance your experience. So first things first, you're a new player, so you don't know what's going on. You're killing things, you're picking up stuff. But when you get into town for the very first time, I want you to kind of take a breath and let's go over the interface. And we'll start off on the right side, and you'll notice over here something that a lot of people neglect early game, or when you're new to Path of Exile, and that is this little eye icon over here. It's a help panel. I strongly suggest you do this within the very first hour of playing this game, and just by clicking it, it will give you so much valuable information, especially for new players. And this help panel, I suggest you go through every single slot over here that's on the panel on this side, on the left side, and give it a read. And it goes through everything in pretty good detail. And there's some really valuable information. We're not going to go over it because we'd be here for hours, but do this. I assure you, it's going to be time well spent. All right. And then obviously, when in any game, there's navigation in the game. So in Path of Exile, you'll see to the top right, like most games of this genre, will have a mini map. And over here to the top right, like I said, there is the mini map. Now, Path of Exile also, by hitting the tab key, will put the mini map or the map in the center of your screen. Now, if you ever watch anyone streaming Path of Exile, and oh, by the way, Twitch, Sammy Caps, hit me a follow. Little plug there. If you watch any Path of Exile streamer, you will notice this map in the center of the screen. So it just helps with navigation, and you know, the choice is yours, but I say 90%, 95% of the people that play Path of Exile do this. The other option is when you hit escape and you go to options, you have the menu over here, one of the menus, the options menu. And if you go to UI, in this section is the map, and there are a lot of options here, so I suggest you look. But the three that I want to focus on right now is the transparency, the landscape transparency, the map transparency, and the map zoom. So if you pay attention to my, if you pay attention to this, actually, you know what? Before that, let me take this off. Okay, much better. Want you guys to see it. So here's the map. All right, put it over here, get in a spot where it's not congested, and you'll see the landscape. So basically, this toggle bar just enhances the landscape outside of the zone. Okay, so again, I'm just showing you the max, none, and 100%, or you can go in between, or you can get rid of it at all. I don't like any of it, so I never have it. And then there's the map transparency, which basically takes it away to the left and makes it really outline. You can see the outline much better. So again, preference is yours, what you like, and then the map zoom. Okay, so I suggest you set this up, and then once you're done with whenever you're happy with it, you just hit save and you close out of it. And again, tab takes it in and out. Okay, now what else do we have on the screen? So we have the classic red bubble for your life, and there's also a numeric value which tells you how much life you have. So right now I have 1,566 life, and then on the right we have our mana, which again has the amount here. Okay, now I'm not gonna go into why these numbers are split up. Just know, and you already know this if you've played this kind of genre, your life is on the left and your mana is on the right. And obviously this indicates to you while you're going up against enemies how much it's going down, if it needs to be replenished, etc. Obviously life, you need to worry about that. And then we have these, what I like to phrase them like utility flasks, where you can get certain attributes. So for example, I have movement speed and I have elemental resistances. Okay, and just to show you or to demonstrate, okay, so for example, I have this movement speed one, right? So it's hotkeyed on number 4. So here's my speed now, and once I execute it, look at my speed, right? So again, they're kind of like utility flasks, and as this kind of stuff drops in the open world, you can choose to utilize or not to utilize. All right, I had to remove myself because I wanted to demonstrate this next, and that is the skills that are identified in the hotbar here on the right. And this basically tells you what skills you currently have equipped on your character. All you have to do is click on any of the areas here, and it'll bring up all the skills that you have equipped. And again, in order to have a skill equipped, like I mentioned before, you need to have gems on either your equipment or gear. But this little area here will show you all the skills you have equipped. Now, if you hit Control, there is a second menu which shows what auras and buffs, etc. you have also equipped. And these are usually buffs and auras that grant armor, that grant additional buffs. But the point being is there is a sub menu below the main one. But this basically shows where all your skills are. All right. So we have one more thing to discuss, and that is what is underneath the minimap. So what is underneath the minimap are the quests. The optional quests will be in blue, and the main story will be in yellow. And you'll notice exclamation marks beside the quests. If you hit an exclamation mark, the world map will pop up and it'll show where you are, the little green player icon here, and where you need to go for that specific quest. You can see here the outline with the question mark. Also, travel. Travel is done through waypoints. And as you can see, when I step on this waypoint, the world map automatically comes up. The indicators for fast travel are the circle around that waypoint and the fact that it's blinking on and off, on and off. And you can click on here and boom, you can fast travel. And same thing going back, you'll notice. But the quests are here. And again, blue is optional, yellow is the story. And the blinking on and off is an indication that you can fast travel to that point. Now, there are two other methods you can fast travel. Let's say you're out in the world and you're full of inventory. There's two ways you can do that. And you're not near a waypoint, is you will receive scrolls, portal scrolls. And as it says here, create a portal to town. So you right click it, you enter the portal, it'll take you back to town. You go, get rid of all your loot or whatever, and you can simply go right back to the portal that you got, and it'll take you back exactly to the location. It's a one in and one back, and then the portal disappears. Another way, let's say you don't have any portal scrolls. Another way is you basically just hit exit the character selection, and it'll take you back to town. Okay. Yeah, but Sam, how do I get skills? So in PC, when you hit I, you open up your inventory. And this is basically what your player has as far as equipment and as far as gems and slots. Now, what are gems and slots, Sam? So basically, what ends up happening is you, depending on the class you play, will be picking up gear and weapons, of course, and loot. And the purpose of this demonstration is purely on how you equip skills. And skills are done through gems. Okay? which will drop for you, or you can purchase through vendors. And we'll get into that later. All you need to know, though, is in order to equip a skill, you need a gem. And these gems, as you get them or as you buy them, once you hover over it, it'll tell you what the level requirement is, how much cost there is to mana, for example, the cast time, critical, on and on and on, as you see in the first 6 or 7 lines. Also, you'll see here that this requires level 4. Your character needs to be level 4 in order to equip this gem. So when you're picking up stuff or buying it, pay attention to that, because what's the point of buying a gem if you're buying a gem if you're a level 10 and the gem requires you to be a level 40? Okay? And then also underneath that in green is the description of what the gem will do. And it also tells you in blue the impact. Okay? And then you'll see right there, 1 out of 841. There's a bar there. For the lack of a better term, it's like an experience bar for the gem. So this gem has never been equipped. It has not been leveled up. Gems will level up, and the higher level, the stronger they get, per se. So that's something also to keep an eye out. But basically, all I want to say is the gems are what provide you with the skills and the mechanics to play your class. So pay attention to that, okay? Number 1. Number 2, when you're picking up gear and weapons, as you can see, like this chest piece, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gem slots. They are color coded, okay? And the 3 colors are blue, red, and green as far as gems. There's also a white gem slot, which basically is a catch-all. You can put any color of gem in a white gem slot on any piece of equipment or weapon. Okay? And the other thing, when it comes to gems,
good tidings to you.
and I'm going to demonstrate this to you. So this is a vendor. When it comes to gems, there are main skill gems, and then there are support gems. Support gems enhance the main skill. And so, Sam, how do I know which support gems go with the main spell gem? Well, when you go to a support gem, whenever you hover over it, you'll see not only the main, so this is stun support, and you see there what it does. Its support skills have 30% reduced enemy stun threshold. But to the left of it, it tells you, the game tells you what skills it supports. And you'll see here that a green check mark will indicate that this stun support supports Armageddon Brand. And an X tells you it will not support Discreet. It will not support Flame Wall or Determination, but it will Flame Dash. Point being is there are main skill gems and there are support gems. Now, there's another thing to consider while you're looking at gems and slots and the color coding of it is the linkability is also important. In other words, let's take my scepter, for example, here. I have Armageddon Brand, I have elemental support, and I have combustion support. All right? So I have the main skill and 2 support gems. All right? Now, these 2 support Armageddon Brand, the main skill, and they are linked. Therefore, the support attributes from these 2 support gems are enabled by the fact that these 3 slots are linked. And how do you determine whether the gem slot is linked. It's very clear. You see this line in between the gem slots. That means all 3 gem slots here are linked. So whatever gems you put in here will link up. So that's important, because if you're getting support gems with the intentions of enhancing your main skill that you're attaching it to, you need to ensure that the gem slots are linked like this. The other thing I wanted to cover as far as the UI is concerned is right next to the flasks. And this is for, you're like, oh my God, how do I open up my character UI? How do I open up this? How do I open up that? So right next to the flasks is a menu with a arrow. And this will give you what menu it is and the shortcut. And of course, I play on PC, so these are the shortcuts. But my point is, you can use this if you don't remember what the shortcut is or how to get to whatever kind of menu. And you can pull up all these different menus that go into that specific menu. And speaking of menus, this is the big one. This is probably what scares new players and coming in and trying POE. They've heard of the infamous skill tree. And I have to tell you, it was overwhelming the very first time that I looked at it and played with it. However, do not be overwhelmed. So, using this menu bar that we just looked at, now for me, I already know it's P, but let's just to demonstrate utilizing this menu. Here is the passive tree. And I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna be overwhelmed. It's big. It's big. But let's, again, the purpose of these videos is to bring it down to the basics. Now, this skill tree is identical for regardless of what class you play. All right. So depending on the class you play will depend your starting point. So I'm currently playing a witch. So my starting point was here. If you're playing other classes, you're going to be starting in one of these spots. Okay? Around here. All right? But my point is that everyone has the same skill tree. It only thing that changes is your starting point, whether it's here, 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 like I said. Okay. Now, as you hover over them, you will see what actually that node does. So, for example, these are what nodes I've already spent my points on. And these skill points for the passive tree, for the skill tree, you earn them as you're playing the game, going through the campaign, going through the story, and progressing through the game. You earn them and you get rewarded with the skill points, and you just spend them here. You can also refund these skill points. All right. So it's simple as just clicking on refund passives and clicking on it, and it'll refund you. Now, I'm not going to get into the currency that's required to do that, because you do need, although the game will award you some of the refund passives, the majority of it is done through another fashion. We're not going to go there. But the point of this is just to familiarize yourself with the skill tree. And just one other tip that I want to give, there is a search functionality in the skill tree, and I would highly recommend you utilize this search functionality for the purpose of let's say you want to, I want a tanky build. So of course, if you're a tanky build, it's not obviously defenses, but life, right? You want a lot of health so you can take a lot of hits, right? So all you have to do is type in life. And if you notice, all over this skill tree, you see that throbbing node, right? That tells you that these are life nodes, right? So 6% of damage taken is recouped as life. Brand skills have, oh, sorry, that's not throbbing. This one is, yeah, 6% increased maximum life. Okay, you get my point. So if you see an area of the skill tree that has a lot of nodes that you're trying to build into your character, then naturally it'll give you a path to go to, right? And that's my point, is I would strongly suggest you do that. If you're doing this blind and you want to build your own character, and just see where that specific nodes are on the map, so you can gravitate to it and ensure that you add them to your character. So don't overlook the search functionality. Okay, so this has already been a long enough video, and we'll cover more in the next video. But I do want to cover one more thing before we go, and that is loot. Path of Exile has a lot of loot, a lot. And I strongly suggest you get a loot filter. This game has a loot filter functionality built in the game. So if you go into options and the game tab, you will see here item filter, right? So you can have none, or you can have item filters. Now you can make item filters, loot filters on your own, but you're a new player in POE. I doubt you know how to do it. So there are already pre-made loot filters out there. Here's my recommendation for getting a loot filter for your character, and that's Filterblade. Here's the website. It's filterblade.xyz, and I suggest, if you're playing POE for the very first time, Neversink has a very consistent and good one. It does a really good job of eliminating the clutter, and I'll demonstrate that next. But basically, you just go over here to overview, and here's Neversink, softcore, hardcore, stable, and ruthless. And you can, you can customize this to you, but being new, I would just leave it as is, semi-strict and normal. And again, if you want to go more into detail about what it does, it actually shows you how the color coding is, how it highlights the loot on the ground, what it means, etc. But at the end of the day, you just come here, you save it, and once you link up your Path of Exile game to here, it's very simple. Once you log back into the game, that game menu that I showed, the item filter drop-down menu, it'll populate there, and you'll see Neversink. You'll actually name whatever loot filter you download from here. You get to name it, so you'll know that it's there because you gave it its name. But filterblade.xyz for your loot filter. So what does a loot filter do? So this is what the game would look like. We'll go to game. Item filter, none, right? So I have no loot filter on my game right now. And here is, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like 6 enemies that I just killed, okay? Here's the loot filter. Now, by the way, loot filter or not loot filter, just by pressing Z, you can hide everything, not show the loot at all, or hitting Z again on PC will show you all the loot that just dropped. Now, this is what it looks like with no filter. And then if I go put, where is it? If I go put my current, see the difference? All the loot that was over here, gone, right? And this is a very mild loot filter, okay? So it's not super, super selective, but it still does the job. So again, with the loot filter, without. So believe me, you may think, well, you know, I like seeing everything. Believe me, there's going to be a ton of loot when you're engaging with tons of enemies around you and you're killing them and all the loot is dropping. Your screen is going to be nothing but this, and it's going to get annoying. So get yourself a loot filter. All right, that'll do it, everyone. I hope you found this video informative, and I hope you're going to enjoy your journey into Path of Exile. I assure you, you're going to have a lot of fun. This game does have its ups and downs, so be prepared to hit that wall. I do want to say one thing, though, and this is my opinion, because a lot of people will say, look, Path of Exile is a game that you need to dedicate thousands of hours into. And I will not argue that point. This game has so much content that, yes, you, if you do have the time, can spend thousands of hours. However, it is a steep learning curve. There is a lot to learn. But this is also a game, in my opinion, that you can play, leave, come back to, and play again. There are seasons every 3 months. So you can play a season until your heart's content and dedicate as much time as you want, learn something new, learn a couple of things new, and then leave the game, go play another game that you like. And then when another season drops, come back, take what you've learned, apply it to the new season, and add more learnings to what foundation you already have. My point being is, this is a marathon of a game, not a sprint. And the way the game is set up, it allows you to come in and out of it. Well, that'll do it, everyone. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And for those of you that are new to this channel, thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it informative. If you can find it in your heart to like, comment, and subscribe, I really would appreciate it. I'm a new channel. We're only months old and we're trying to grow it little by little. So your support would mean the world to me. And for those of you that continue to support me and my channel, thank you so much. You have no idea what it means to me. Thanks for watching, and until next time.